Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all nations, please bear with me as I show you how to multiply with decimals. This will be good. The students can watch it later, and then when we start multiplying with decimals, like either tomorrow or like Friday or like one of those days, like they can watch it and then they'll like know how to do it. And so I'm going to do some examples, and really all I need you to do is watch. And if you want to participate along with us, then you can stop the video and like do the problem, and then like start the video, and like just a second after you solve the problem, and like some such. So I'm going to take the problem. I'm going to take the problem 4 5/10 times 2 6/10. Now, in multiplying with decimals, it's very important, muy importante, that you estimate first. That I estimate first. So, for example, if I'm just a little more than 4 times just a little more than 2. 4 times 2 is 8, so my answer needs to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 8. If my answer is not in the neighborhood of 8, then I've done something drastically wrong. You want to keep working, or you want me to turn this on? You want that on, or you just want to work? Cool. All right, so in order to do, so my answer needs to be in the neighborhood of 8. And I just multiplied my whole numbers together and got 8. So now in order to multiply decimals, I'm going to rewrite the problem, ignoring the decimal points, leaving them out. So now I have 45 multiplied by 26. I'm just going to do this, leaving out the decimal points, paying no attention to the decimal points until I get done and find the product of this. 6 times 5 is 30. 0, 3. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 3 is 27. I'm multiplying now by the tens place, so I must start in the tens place. 2 times 5 is 10. Put a 0. Carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. 0, 7, 1,170. Now, after I multiply it, ignoring the decimal points, I go back and I look at the original problem. The original problem has 2 numbers behind the decimal point. The 5 is behind the decimal point, and the 6 is behind the decimal point. So my answer has to have 2 numbers behind the decimal point. That's why the estimation is so important. It's going to help you figure out where to put the decimal point. A lot of people are like, I'm just going to move it straight down, and you think your answer is 117. Well, if I estimated that my answer has to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 8, obviously it can't be 117 because that's in a completely different neighborhood. Not even in the same neighborhood. Not the same block. Not the same street. Maybe not even the same city. I'm just saying. So let's look at another one while somebody drums and makes me insane. Let's look at the problem. Pick one. Pick one. Pick one of these.
No, this one.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's look at the problem 79 hundredths times 2 9/10. Notice when I'm multiplying decimals, I don't have to line them up. No, 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 no. Now I look at this, and I notice that 79 hundredths is less than 1. So I'm multiplying 2 9/10 by something less than 1. So my answer is going to be smaller than 2 9/10. if my answer is not smaller than 2 9/10, I've done something dangerously incorrect that could come back and cause me to have all my hair on my head fall out. Trust me, I know. So I know my answer must be less than 3. Less than 3. Because 2 9/10 times something less than 1 is going to bring my product smaller. Then I rewrite it, and I'm just going to do the problem pretending like there's no decimal points. I'm going to be like, are there decimal points? And then I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go, like, no, I ignore the decimal points until I get to the end after I have my product. And then I'll be like, okay, that's so smart. And then I'll be like, thank you for complimenting me. And then I'll be like, just shut up and do the problem. And I'll be like, okay. So now I'm going to do the problem ignoring the decimal points. I have 9 times 9, which is 81. I have 9 times 7, which is 63, plus 8, which is 71, I think. Is that right?
I don't know.
Did you just copying me and not doing the math with me? What if I'm making mistakes? Now I'm going to the tens place. So my first number must start in the tens place.
Oh, no.
I do 2 times 9, which is 18. I have 18 tens. So that's 108 tens. I have 2 times 7, which is 14, plus 1 is 15. Then I add these two products together. And I get 1, 9, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Carry the 1. I get 2,291. Now, I said my answer must be less than 3. So I go up here and I figure out how many numbers are behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3. If there are 3 numbers behind the decimal in the factors, there must be 3 numbers behind the decimal in the product. So then my answer, as long as I did all my math correctly, would be 2 and 291 thousandths. 2 and 291 thousandths.
Is that right here?
I don't know, is it?
Yes.
Let's look at another problem. And 94 times 50. So we'll do 94 times 50. But I'm going to make it 94 hundredths times 50. Just so that I'm not doing the exact same problem that's on your paper that you're doing right now. Okay, so now I need to estimate first. I have my decimal number here, which is just a little bit below 1. Just a little bit below 1 whole. And 50 is just a whole number, 50. So if I'm multiplying 50 by something just a little bit less than 1, my answer is going to be just a little bit less than 50. Okay, my answer is going to be just a little bit less than 50. Again, it's important when multiplying with decimals so that you know where to put your decimal point. Because if you don't put your decimal point in the right place, then what's that called when you don't get the question right?
Wrong.
You get the question wrong. All right, so 94, I'm rewriting it, ignoring my decimal points right now. I'm just going to bring that 0 down because if I multiply my zeros, it's just going to go 0, 0, and it's just going to be zeros all the way through. So I don't really have to do that. I do 5 times 4, which is 20. I do 9 times 5, which is 45, plus 2, which is 47. I find the number of digits behind the decimal point in my factors in my problem. So that's 1, that's 2. That means there has to be 2 behind it in the answer. So the answer to this one would be
question.
47.
They have two of the same ones.
Yes, and you put the same letter in more than one time.
Oh,
Yeah, on that paper, if you read the directions, it'll tell you that you may put the same letter in more than once.
I didn't read it.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm just, for those children who think directions, who needs that? Then I just thought I'd share that so people know. Let's do 58.
No.
We'll do
Wait, what?
5 8/10 times 3 4/10. So I need to find the product of 5 8/10 and 3 4/10. Again, I'm going to get my estimate first. And if I just estimate looking at what's in front of the decimal point, 5 times 3, my answer needs to be around 15. Around 15. So now I'm going to rewrite this, ignoring my decimal points. I'm going to solve this problem pretending there are no decimal points anywhere in the world of this problem. I did my ones place. 4 times 8 is 32, so that's 32 ones, or 3 tens and 2 ones. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23. Now I'm done with my ones place, so I'm working in my tens place. 3 times 8 is 24, so that's 24 tens. So that's 4 tens and 2 hundredths. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17. I find the sum of those two products. I get a 2, I get a 7, I get a 9, I get a 1. I go back to my problem. I count there are two numbers behind the decimal point in the problem. There needs to be two numbers behind the decimal point in the product. So this estimating again is important. Ava, would you like me to do one more? All right, Ava, I will do one more. And those of you that are kind of following along realize I'm doing the problems that are on this paper. Would you like me to do O?
Yeah.
41.
Oh wait, no, I forget. What was D? What was D?
I don't remember.
What was T? Oh no.
And this time, I'm going to make this, see, this is O on your actual paper, not O from the show Home. Oh, come to my party! I'm sending it to the whole universe. You need to go potty, Gunner?
No.
Oh, okay.
Can I have a different expo marker? This one's on
If
the
you
front.
can find one, I don't have any more up here. So now we're going to do my estimating. I'm multiplying 79 by a number less than 1. 79 by a number less than 1. In fact, 41 hundredths is less than a half. So my answer is going to be less than a half of 79. Less than half of 79. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you to estimate before you solve. I can't. There's no way in the world I can emphasize that enough. So now I'm going to rewrite it, ignoring the decimal points. 41 times 79. I'm going to solve it just like you're doing on your paper here. Because we're all brilliant, I'm going to solve 41 times 79. 9 times 1 is 9. Are you with me, Ava? 9 times 4 is
36.
36. Thank you, Ava. Now, I'm working in my tens place. So that means my first number on my multiplication needs to be in my tens place. So that's why I put this 0 in the ones place. a 0, not a donut, not a cookie, not anything like that you crazy people want to make it. Just doesn't work that way. Now I multiply my tens place through. I have 7 times 1, which is 7. Good job, Ava. Give me some knuckles there. That's what I'm talking about. See, this is how you do knuckles. You go, boom, explode it, hang it up.
What?
And then I do 7 times 4, which is 28. I add those two products together, and I get 9, 13, 12, 3. I have 2 numbers behind the decimal point in my original problem. I need to have 2 numbers behind the decimal point in my product. So 41 hundredths multiplied by 79 is 32 and 39 hundredths. 32 and 39 hundredths. If it didn't have the decimal point in it like O on your paper, it would just be 3,239. So let's review the steps. Step 1. Write down the problem vertically. Step 2. Estimate. And as I said, estimation is super duper important. Why is it super duper important? Because I said it is. That's why. Don't argue with me, Cora. Step 3. Rewrite, ignoring the decimal points. So rewrite it and solve without the decimal points. Now, if you're watching this at home and would like to write this in your journal, make sure you put it in your table of contents. Write these steps. If you don't have it at your journal at home, then just write them on a piece of paper and you can glue it in later. Rewrite and solve without the decimal points. Then we're going to count. You know, my daughter's in kindergarten, and one of her homework assignments last night was to count to 20. And she could do it, so I'm assuming that you all can be able to count. And in our case, we're really not going to go past 4. Probably most of the time, not even 2, 4. Count numbers to the right of decimal point in both factors. Put the same number of digits as there are in the original problem in your answer behind the decimal point. I really appreciate how hard you guys are working. I can't really do this in any of my other classes because they're a little cray-cray. Place decimal in front of the number of digits you counted. So that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, is how you multiply with decimals. Now what we'll do is when those of you that get to the portion of today's work that requires multiplying with decimals, I will allow you to sit and watch this video so that you can sit and watch this video and learn how to do these things. Remember, be kind to one another. Boom, shakalaka. Peace out. God bless. Love ya.